deep beneath the earth, where the ordinary rules of survival are completely rewritten. This is impossible places where every inch of soil unearthed is soaked in sweat and human blood. They fight to excavate treasures hidden in the darkness. Where the line between life and death is as thin as a single breath. These are the hells on Earth that defy every human limit. Today, join Hide a Planet as we explore the world's most dangerous mines, where sacrifice paves the way for greatness. Grasberg Mine, Indonesia. Located at an altitude of over 4,000 meters in the Sudirman Mountains, this is a true battlefield between man and Mother Nature. Now imagine a gigantic open-pit mine, kilometers wide, surrounded by steep cliffs and thick fog. At this altitude, the air is so thin that every step the workers take is an extraordinary effort. Along with the dangers from underground, when Grasberg transitioned from open pit to underground mining, the risks increased exponentially. Your extreme geological pressure at depths of thousands of meters beneath mountains constantly threatens sudden tunnel collapses or rock bursts. With the enormous annual rainfall, the risk of flash floods and landslides constantly hangs over the heads of engineers. Cerro, Rico, Bolivia. Before us lies the mountain of wealth, but don't let the name fool you. Can you hear the creaking of the decaying wooden beams? That's the sound of hundreds of years of history bearing the weight of millions of tons of rock above. As you go deeper inside, the stifling heat and pungent sulfurous smell will assault your nostrils. Sweat begins to trickle down, mixing with silica dust, a fine dust that, if inhaled, will cling to your lungs forever. No digital maps, no modern safety gear. Just tight tunnels you crawl through on all fours and sheer, unguarded drops. One slip, and you become part of the mountain. Mponeng Gold Mine, South Africa. At a depth of over 4 kilometers, Mponeng is a place where the limits of human physics and endurance are pushed to the extreme. At this depth, the temperature of the natural rock can reach 66 degrees Celsius in the impossible places. Without a massive cooling system pumping tons of ice and snow down every day, no one could survive for more than a few minutes. The deeper you go, the greater the pressure from the rock layers above. It's just the cracking sounds of the geological strata are not just noises. They are a warning of rock eruptions that could occur at any moment. Workers spend over an hour just riding the high-speed elevator from the surface down to the work site. Once you're down there, you're basically on another planet. Zasyadko coal mine, Ukraine. At this depth of over 1,300 meters, geological pressure isn't the only thing that wants to crush you. The invisible enemy here is the thick, stiflingly hot air. But the most terrifying thing of all is methane gas. It's colorless and odorless, but just a small spark from machinery or the friction of rocks can turn this entire mine into a giant cannon. Zasyadko is not just a coal mine. It has witnessed some of the most horrific tragedies in mining history. Dhanbad coal mines, India. The most terrifying aspect here is the smoldering underground fires that have been burning for over 100 years. The ground beneath your feet is anything but stable. It's scorching hot and could collapse at any moment due to the charred cavities beneath. Toxic plumes of smoke erupt from cracks in the ground, creating a scene that is both surreal and deadly. Working in Dhanbad amidst impossible places means you're gambling with your lungs. Coal dust and toxic gases blanket the area. Workers and locals alike breathe air that far exceeds international safety standards. Besides the massive open-pit mines, there are thousands of pirate mines or unauthorized underground mining operations. A small mistake in the geological structure, or one heavy rain, could cause the entire mine to collapse, burying the poor miners alive. Chuquicamata, Chile. From above, you'll see a colossal arena more than 1,000 meters deep and 5 kilometers wide. This is not just a copper mine, it's a living entity, a monster of earth and rock that is constantly transforming. With the threat of landslides, the stepped rock walls may look sturdy, but the geological pressure at this depth is incredibly intense. Even a small shift could trigger a landslide that swallows everything. Along with silica dust, the silent killer, it's not just physical accidents. The air here is full of fine particles that can destroy workers' lungs. So, if offered an extremely high salary, would you be willing to work at the bottom of this mine for a year? Berkeley Pit, Montana. Looking down, the water wasn't the clear blue of nature. It's a bizarre mixture of deep red, burnt orange, and toxic green. This isn't just water, it's a concentrated acid broth gnawing away at the earth every second. What if a flock of migrating birds lands here by mistake? Within just a few hours, their lungs and digestive systems would be burned away by the extremely high acid levels. Admittedly, it was a strange combination of great industrial achievement and an inescapable environmental disaster. Bingham Canyon Mine, Utah. In 2013, a historic landslide occurred here, releasing 165 million tons of earth and rock. It was the largest non-volcanic landslide in North American history. When you dig too deep into the earth, the ground pressure is always ready to strike back. Here, the trucks carrying minerals are not ordinary trucks. Just a small misstep in traffic control or brake failure on those steep, winding roads could have irreversible consequences. Bingham Canyon is a testament to humanity's power to conquer nature amidst the impossible places. Ijen Sulfur Mine, Indonesia. We are at an altitude of over 2,000 meters. Before you is not a modern construction site with excavators or cranes. This is an active volcanic caldera where thick white smoke, smelling of rotten eggs, permeates every corner. Look at those miners. No proper safety gear, just crude bamboo baskets and a rag tied hastily over their mouths. Each load on their shoulders weighs 70 to 90 kilograms of pure sulfur. Imagine carrying 2 big sacks of rice. He's walking up a 45-degree rocky cliff in thick, toxic smoke. Their eyes squint as the acid fumes burn their retinas, and their esophagus and lungs are ravaged day by day. This isn't just a job, it's a trade-off of lives for a few dollars a day. Rinconada, Peru. This is a massive mining site where the line between fortune and death is separated by only a gasp. The oxygen level here is only 50% of what it is at sea level. And imagine having to carry a pickaxe and break rocks while your lungs are constantly craving air. It's not just labor, it's a battle for survival. More shockingly, there's a bizarre mining system here. Workers labor without pay for 30 days, then on the 31st day, they're allowed to carry away as much ore as they can shoulder. Here, you will either have your life changed or leave empty-handed after a month of grueling labor. Or illegal coal mines in Afghanistan. With a structure consisting of dark tunnels, dozens of meters deep underground, supported only by a few rotten logs, or even nothing at all. Every creak of earth and rock served as a warning of a potential tunnel collapse that could happen at any moment. The workers here have no masks, no helmets. The only thing protecting them is luck. Besides the risk of tunnel collapse, Methane gas accumulating in the deep recesses is a silent killer. So if you were them, would you keep working on those dangerous construction sites? Drop your answer in the comments for Hyder Planet to see. Mount Polley Mine, Canada. On August 4, 2014, a section of this dam collapsed. The result? 25 million cubic meters of waste spilled out. This amount of sludge would be enough to fill 10,000 Olympic swimming pools. It swept away all the trees, completely deformed Hazeltine Creek, and poured straight into Quesnel Lake, one of the deepest lakes in the world. The most frightening thing is that this disaster didn't stem from a natural calamity in impossible places. Subsequent investigations showed the dam was built on a weak clay layer that engineers had overlooked during the geological survey. Following this incident, safety standards in Canada have been tightened more than ever, but public confidence has yet to fully recover. Luisenthal coal mine, as Germany. Methane pockets are always lurking here. Just one small spark from machinery or a tiny mistake, and the whole mine turns into a giant cannon. Can you hear that cracking sound from the wooden and steel pillars? That's the Earth's crust trying to crush the empty space humans just carved out. Here, breathing is a trade-off between life and a lifelong coal dust lung disease. Let's not forget the tragedy of 1962, or a horrific coal dust explosion that claimed the lives of 299 miners. It's a stark reminder that beneath this earth, nature never tolerates intruders easily. Rubaya Coltan Mine, DR Congo. The miners here have to descend dozens of meters into narrow tunnels with no support pillars or ventilation systems. Here, just one heavy rain could cause the entire weak soil structure of the Masisi Hills to collapse, burying dozens of people. Rubaya is not just a mineral deposit. It's a money bag that armed groups fight over. Blood has been spilled on every kilogram of ore before it enters the global supply chain. No protective gear, breathing ore dust 12 hours a day, polluted water. Death doesn't just come from tunnel collapses, but also from diseases slowly destroying the body. Machang Mine, China. We are at an altitude where the massive dump trucks, once the size of a two-story house, now look like tiny ants crawling along. The Machang mine is famous for its complex, tiered structure. Just a small error in geological calculations or a heavy rain causing a landslide, and the entire site will be turned into a giant trap. The roar of diesel engines echoes from the cliffs, mingling with the sound of hydraulic drills pounding into the hard rock. The vibrations from the periodic blasts can make your heart skip a beat, even from kilometers away. This is not simply a mine. It's an arena where modern technology confronts the harshness of Mother Nature head-on. Broken Hill Mine, Zambia. Technically, it's a marvel of the old era with its deep underground tunnel system. But from a modern safety and environmental perspective, it's one of the world's most dangerous black spots. Although the mine has been closed for decades, lead levels in the soil and water here are dozens of times higher than the permissible limit. This isn't a visible danger like a tunnel collapse. It's a silent killer that quietly attacks the nervous system of anyone exposed to it for long periods. These old mine tunnels now resemble an abandoned maze. Erosion and neglect have left the geological structure extremely unstable. Dark Mine, USA. Here, the flashlight on your helmet is your only friend. A faint beam of light cut through the pitch-black night, revealing jagged cliffs and rusty electrical cables strung like spiderwebs overhead. At this depth, it's not only the lack of oxygen, but the millions of tons of rock above, just waiting to cave in from the tiniest shake. The centuries-old wooden support pillars were bent under the weight. Even a loud noise could trigger a chain reaction of landslides. Mining is not for the faint of heart. At Dark Mine, mistakes are irreparable. You have to listen with your eyes and see with your ears. Jharia coal mines, India. The most terrifying difference in Jharia is the underground fires. For over 100 years, the coal beneath has been smoldering uncontrollably, impossible to extinguish completely. The ground here is unstable. It could collapse at any moment, swallowing houses or spewing deadly toxic fumes. Here, the line between work and survival almost disappears. Workers and locals have to work in an atmosphere thick with dust and smoke and extremely high temperatures. Hpakant jade mines, Myanmar. Look at those towering mud walls, hundreds of meters high, and ready to collapse at any moment with just a light rain. Do you see those small figures hunched over below? Those are the Yimasi, risking their lives with every pickaxe stroke. Here, the line between ultimate wealth and death is just a step away. A small crack in the cliff face could be a sign of a catastrophic landslide, ready to bury hundreds of people in an instant. Despite its dangers, Jharia still provides essential metallurgical coal for India's steel industry. And if you enjoyed this far, please leave a like and a comment below to let Hida Planet know. Dogon villages, Mali. Instead of flat land, the Dogon people chose the towering Bandiagara cliffs for their backed-by mountains location. This was a perfect defensive tactic in the past, allowing them to observe any enemies from afar. The houses and granaries here are all made from local materials, making the entire village blend perfectly into the colors of the cliffs. Sometimes you'll wonder, where is the natural stone, and where is the handiwork of man? Living here is a daily test of physical endurance. There are no elevators, no paved roads. It is a testament to humanity's will to survive and its ingenuity in the face of adversity. Migingo Island, Uganda. If you think a dangerous house has to be perched precariously on a cliff or right next to a volcano, then Migingo redefines that concept. This isn't just a house, but a micro-city spanning only about 2,000 square meters, yet housing hundreds of people. Located in the middle of Lake Victoria, Africa's largest freshwater lake. When hurricane season arrives, the fierce waves can swallow up anything left exposed. In 2010, this tiny rock sparked a territorial dispute between Kenya and Uganda because it generates thousands of dollars each year in fishing taxes. People stick around here because the Nile perch is a massive source of income, but it's also exactly why this island is constantly targeted by armed groups. Makoko, Nigeria, is a floating settlement balanced on water at the edge of Africa's largest megacity. An estimated 100,000 to 250,000 people live here, with over 90% of the homes situated on the polluted lagoon. The floor is only 90 to 1.8 meters above the water's surface. However, there are no roads and no cars. All transportation takes place by boat 24 hours a day within impossible places. This community operates without a formal wastewater treatment system, and over 50% of its residents rely on fishing for their livelihood. For decades, this water city's residents have thrived without any urban planning, proving human life can adapt to places that seem utterly uninhabitable. Santa Cruz del Islote, Colombia. Imagine an island only the size of 2 football fields, yet home to over 1,200 people. Here, the concepts of garden or sidewalk are a luxury. Houses are built close together, extending right to the water's edge. Just one major storm or rising sea level, and the entire island is like a fragile life raft in the middle of the ocean. Without sturdy breakwaters or high ground to escape to, its existence is a proud challenge to the open sea. Free house on a crowded, peaceful island. Take it for sea view doorstep, or skip for lack of privacy. You in? Kawah Ijen villages, Indonesia. Living in the villages around Kawah Ijen is not simply about settling down. It's a daily gamble with nature. The houses here are located right in the path of one of the world's largest acid lakes. The threat comes not only from sudden eruptions, but also from toxic gases. The wind here can carry a thick, sulfurous fumes that engulf the entire village at any time, making breathing a real challenge. In addition, acids and sulfur in the air seep in, causing everything to rust and deteriorate much faster than normal. On one side is the harsh reality of the miners returning home after a day carrying dozens of pounds of sulfur on their shoulders. For them, a home is both their only shelter and a reminder of the fragility of their lives. Ganvi, Benin. This is a village built entirely on water. Often called the Venice of Africa, this community, home to over 20,000 people, sits atop wooden stilts above Lake No. 1. There are no roads or cars, only narrow boat lanes connecting houses, schools, and markets. The houses are built 1.8 to 3 meters above the water to avoid seasonal flooding. And daily life, including cooking, bathing and shopping, all takes place on boats. The village was founded over 300 years ago as a refuge from slave raiders who were forbidden to enter water by local beliefs. al-Jazil, Yemen. It doesn't rest on the ground. It sits atop a massive 150-meter-high rock formation in the middle of the Wadi Dawan Valley. From a distance, the village resembles a forgotten rock crown in the desert, amidst the impossible places. The contrast between the sheer orange-yellow cliffs and the rustic mud brick houses creates a beauty that is both majestic and strangely fragile. Standing on the edge of these houses, you'll experience the true definition of precarious. There are no modern railings, only the mountain wind and the panoramic view of the deep valley below. Hpakant Monastery, India. This is the shared home of hundreds of monks, a giant beehive-like structure of mud and wood clinging to the Dragon's Mouth cave on a sheer limestone cliff. Just one misstep on the narrow stone steps, and you'll see the emerald green Zaryp River swirling in the gorge right below you. This is one of the few monasteries in the world that can only be reached on foot. No paved roads and no vehicles. You must cross shaky suspension bridges and precarious trails clinging to the edge of the mountain. Seen from a distance, the stark white walls made of mud bricks and willow wood look fragile, yet they have stood there for over 800 years. Castellfollit de la Roca, Spain. If you thought living in a high-rise apartment building was scary enough, then take a look at this village in Catalonia, Spain. The houses here aren't just perched on the edge of a cliff. They seem to be part of the cliff itself. The village sits atop a narrow basalt rock formation, approximately 1 kilometer long and 50 meters high, in the middle of impossible places. This rock formation was created by the collision of two volcanic lava flows thousands of years ago. Old brick's quiet charm versus nature's raw menace. Standing between them, you feel small yet proud. Bajau Water Villages, Malaysia. It is home to people often referred to as sea nomads. The communities are built entirely on the seabed, on wooden stilts. Families live 3 to 9 meters above the water, their houses connected by narrow planks instead of roads. Many Bajau people spend 60 to 70% of their lives on or in the sea, and some can free dive deeper than 90 meters on a single breath, staying underwater 3 to 5 minutes without scuba gear. Some villagers are born, live and die without ever owning land, relying almost 100% on fishing for survival. Iguros Floating Islands, Peru. You're standing on thousands of tightly woven layers of dry totora grass, hundreds of meters below in the depths of Lake Titicaca. Why is this called a dangerous location? Because your house isn't stationary. Without the anchors, a strong gust of wind could carry your entire bedroom across the Bolivian border in a single night. The lake water constantly erodes the grass beneath. To survive, the inhabitants must continuously add new layers of grass. It feels like you're racing against time to prevent the floor from turning into the lake. The entire house, the floor, the walls, was made of dried straw. Just a tiny ember could turn the whole island into a giant torch. Kororai tribe tree houses, Indonesia. The Kororai tribe of Indonesia lives in one of the most extreme human environments on Earth, deep within the rainforests of Papua. Their homes are built 80 to 120 feet above the ground, perched in the treetops to avoid floods, insects, and rival clans. With no roads, no electricity, and no contact with modern cities until the 1970s, the Kororai survived entirely by hunting, sago gathering, and forest foraging. Families climb vertical tree trunks multiple times a day, using only notched footholds and vines. So, would you like to live in one of these houses? Let Haida Planet know in the comments below. La Rinconada, Peru. If you think a house is dangerous because it's on the edge of a cliff or in the eye of a hurricane, La Rinconada redefines that concept at a whole new level, precisely 5,100 meters above sea level. The first feeling you get when entering a house here isn't warmth, but suffocation. At this altitude, the oxygen level is only about 50% of that at sea level in impossible places. Every breath you take in the small, cold, tin-roofed room feels like you're breathing air through a tiny straw. You're not just living indoors, you're fighting to keep your lungs functioning. Meteora villages, Meteora. Looking up at this village from below, you'll see monasteries seemingly emerging from the rock. The first feeling upon climbing the narrow steps along the cliff face is one of awe mixed with a slight tremor. In the old days, to get here, people had to sit in a trawl net or climb a rope ladder, literally entrusting their lives to fate. Looking at the sturdy stone walls right on the edge of the cliff, I couldn't help but admire the medieval builders. They transported each stone and each bag of sand to the mountaintop by hand. It wasn't just architecture, it was the power of belief. Ushguli, Georgia. It is one of the highest continuously inhabited settlements in Europe, situated at an altitude of approximately 7,200 feet above sea level. This area is home to approximately 200 residents scattered across 4 small villages. These stone defensive towers are 70 to 80 feet tall. Many of them, built between the 9th and 12th centuries, still stand today. For up to 6 months each year, heavy snowfall can isolate us from the rest of the country, with temperatures dropping below -4 degrees Fahrenheit. The area lies at the foot of Mount Skara, Georgia's highest peak, at 17,059 feet. Kandavan, Iran. These are houses that the people here don't build on land. They live in rock formations created from volcanic ash and lava. With houses carved deep into the sheer cliff face, just one misstep outside the door, and you'll be standing on the edge of a small abyss. Looking at these jagged rocks that seem on the verge of collapsing, anyone would be concerned about their safety. However, not these stone villas have stood firm for over 700 years. They are a direct challenge to time and geology. This is not just a house, it's a symbol of humanity's taming of the harshness of nature. Living here requires a firm footing and a heart unafraid of heights. Taos Pueblo, USA. The danger here lies in the harsh challenges it has overcome over the past 1,000 years against the ravages of time and nature. Looking at Taos Pueblo, you'll see blocks of buildings stacked on top of each other like giant cardboard boxes. But don't let that rustic appearance fool you. This is the world's largest inhabited adobe structure in the midst of impossible places. Located at the foot of the Sangre de Cristo mountain range, this site was once a hotbed of conflict between tribes and colonizers. Now, the construction of high-rise buildings with no windows on the ground floor was an extremely clever military defense system. Oymyakon, Russia. Imagine living in a house where the average outdoor temperature in winter is minus 50 degrees Celsius, with the record reaching nearly minus 71.2 degrees Celsius. In Oymyakon, simply standing outside for too long without proper protection will cause your skin to freeze instantly. Even the ink in pens freezes, and eyeglasses stick to your face. The houses here are typically multi-layered wooden structures, most notably built on wooden piles driven deep into the ground. Because if a house is built directly on the ground, the heat radiating from inside will melt the ice layer underneath, causing the foundation to sink and collapse.